Ahoy, fellow travelers! Welcome to my Travel Life channel. I'm Pio, and today we're setting sail on a journey that spans centuries and oceans. We'll be embarking on a captivating voyage through time as we explore the fascinating history of cruise ship travel. So buckle up, or should I say, anchor down as we delve into the evolution of cruise ships and cruise travel, from its humble beginnings to the extravagant experiences of today. This is episode 1 of 2, where we'll talk about the origins of cruise travel and the golden age of ocean liners. In part 2, that will be coming in a few days, we will go into technological advancements, adaptations and safety features that continue to be added to today's mega cruise ships to improve the passenger experience and to lessen the negative effects on our environment. On a personal note, my first experience in ship travel was when my family immigrated to Canada about 60 years ago. I don't remember much about it, and I wouldn't call it a cruise ship, but I kind of enjoyed the trip. As I grew older, watching The Love Boat on television, I've always been intrigued by cruise ships and the cruising life. So after I retired and having been on a number of cruises, I decided to do some research and look into how cruising and cruise ships have changed through the years. Before we embark on this journey, though, it would help me immensely if you would hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be advised when part 2 of this adventure is published. Now let's set sail into the past and talk about the origins of cruise travel. Our journey begins in the 19th century, a time when transatlantic travel was not only a means of transportation, but also a symbol of luxury and status. The very first cruise ship, the Prinzessin Victoria Luise, set sail in 1900, offering passengers a taste of opulence as they crossed the Atlantic. However, it wasn't until the 1960s that cruising truly took off as an industry. Pioneering companies like Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean International transformed cruise travel into the exciting, accessible adventure we know today. The Prinzessin Victoria Luise holds a significant place in the history of cruise travel as the world's first purpose-built cruise ship designed and engineered as a full-time luxury cruise ship. Launched in 1900, it was commissioned by the Hamburg America Line, a German shipping company that played a prominent role in transatlantic travel during the early 20th century. It embarked on its maiden voyage on June 5, 1900. The cruise took passengers from Hamburg, Germany, to New York City, marking the beginning of a new era in leisure travel. The ship was a marvel of its time, featuring luxurious amenities that were unprecedented for that era. It had 120 passenger cabins, each equipped with electric lighting and heating, a library, a gymnasium, and even a Parisian-style cafe. The ship's interiors were adorned with exquisite decor, catering to the affluent clientele seeking a leisurely and opulent voyage. The Prinzessin Victoria Luise played a crucial role in transforming the perception of sea travel from a functional means of transportation to a pleasurable pastime. It set the stage for the development of the cruise industry, emphasizing the enjoyment of the journey itself rather than just the destination. Unfortunately, in 1906, it ran aground off the coast of Jamaica during a cruise. There were no casualties and all passengers and crew were safely evacuated. The ship, however, suffered significant damage and was unable to be refloated. It was eventually abandoned. Efforts to salvage it were unsuccessful and it was sunk by a tsunami in 1907. Here are some statistics of the Prinzessin Victoria Luise compared to a medium-sized cruise ship like the Ruby Princess that I have been on recently that had its inaugural cruise in 2008. Weight of 4,409 tons compared to 113,561 tons. Length of 407 feet compared to 951 feet. A beam width of about 46 feet compared to 118 feet. Passenger capacity of around 180 passengers compared to 3,080. Crew capacity of approximately 161 compared to 1,200. Powered by a combination of 2 steam turbines and 2 triple expansion engines compared to 4 V12 rail diesel generators and 2 inline 8-cylinder diesel generators. Top speed of around 15 knots compared to 23 knots. Some huge differences, right? In addition, the Ruby had many new safety and technological features when it was built that just didn't exist in 1900. Now let's step into the golden age of ocean liners, a period between the 1920s and 1950s when majestic vessels like the RMS Queen Mary and the SS Normandy ruled the seas. These ships were floating palaces, providing passengers with unparalleled luxury, entertainment, and elegance. Join me as we reminisce about the glamour and sophistication of this bygone era, where cruising was synonymous with high society and refined indulgence. I'm going to speak about the Queen Mary, that was one of the most iconic ocean liners in maritime history, with a storied past that includes service as a luxury liner, troop ship, and now a floating hotel and museum. It was built by John Brown and Company in Clydebank, Scotland, and launched on September 26, 1934. Its maiden voyage took place on May 27, 1936, sailing from Southampton to New York. It quickly gained a reputation for elegance, luxury, and speed. The Queen Mary, part of the Cunard Line's fleet that included the RMS Queen Elizabeth, is renowned for its stunning Art Deco design and opulent interiors. The ship's public spaces featured intricate woodwork, elegant furnishings, and artwork that reflected the style of the era. During World War II, the Queen Mary was converted into a troop ship to transport Allied soldiers. Its speed, faster than some of today's cruise ships, allowed it to evade enemy submarines, and it played a crucial role in ferrying troops across the Atlantic. After the war, the Queen Mary returned to transatlantic passenger service. It continued to be a symbol of elegance and sophistication, with celebrities and royalty among its passengers, but with the decline of ocean travel and the rise of air travel, the Queen Mary made its final transatlantic voyage in 1967. The ship was then purchased by the city of Long Beach, California, and opened to the public as a floating hotel and museum in 1971. It has since become a popular tourist attraction. The Queen Mary is now permanently moored in Long Beach, serving as a hotel, museum, and event venue. Visitors can explore its historic decks, cabins, and public spaces, gaining a glimpse into the bygone era of ocean liners. Now, we'll look at some statistics comparing the Queen Mary to the Ruby Princess to see the advancements of the cruise ship industry. Weight of 81,237 tons compared to 113,561 tons. Length of 1,019 feet compared to 951 feet. A beam width of about 118 feet compared to 118 feet. Passenger capacity of around 2,139 passengers compared to 3,080. Crew capacity of approximately 1,101 compared to 1,200. Powered by 4 Parsons steam turbines driven by steam produced by 24 Yarrow boilers and 4 diesel engines that drove electric generators providing electrical power for the ship's systems compared to 4 V12 rail diesel generators and 2 inline 8-cylinder diesel generators. Top speed of around 28.5 knots compared to 23 knots. As someone who is only a passenger, I noticed from the statistics that there really wasn't a lot of advancement in as far as the size of the ship. The weight of the Ruby is much higher, probably due to differences in the number of decks. The Queen Mary with 13 passenger decks as opposed to the Ruby Princess with 18. So the length and width stayed the same, but the height differed. Switching from steam to diesel became more fuel efficient though. Diesel engines were easier to maintain, took up less space, weighed less, and were generally safer to operate than high-pressure boilers. I also noticed that even though the ships were the same length and width, the passenger capacity of the Ruby Princess was much higher again due to the number of decks. But wait, it's not in the specs, but the Queen Mary had 1,360 cabins ranging from singles to suites on 13 passenger decks, 11 of which had cabins. On the other hand, the Ruby Princess with 1,530 cabins on 18 passenger decks only has 8 decks which have cabins. I couldn't find the specs, but I'm guessing the rooms were bigger on the Queen Mary. In addition, their passenger to crew ratio was 1.94, while on the Ruby it's 2.57. I think that having more cabins by making them smaller has made cruising more affordable so that it is not just for the elite. What do you think of these statistics? Do you arrive at the same conclusions that I do? Let me know in the comments. Well, that's it for part 1 of this journey through time. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating explorations in part 2 of this series. Until next time, see you on the Lido and happy cruising.